and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual chapter of IACT IMDHA. It is the month of August, I guess, right now. Already, the summer is going by, and yet we still have our, our our Florida sunshine wear and all of that. It has been hot down here, as we have been saying before we started out. So it's good to see you all, everyone, tonight. And Karen, how are you doing this evening there in Chicago? Look at that little puppy.
I just thought, it's the dog days of summer. So I thought I'd bring Chico by to say hello because we're celebrating the dog days of summer. That was kind of a Michaelism, was it not?
Was it indeed?
Okay.
I love that. By the way, did that dog's tongue ever go into its mouth?
Do you want to? Oh, it's this dog lost all of his teeth.
Um,
Now, when he had all of his teeth, his tongue was out
uh,
like this a lot. He always looked like he was smiling. And then he lost all of his teeth except one he has that sticks up because I said, don't take all of his teeth. So they left that one, but there's not enough to hold his tongue in on this side, so it sort of hangs out, and that's his signature now.
well, it is now. If you did a caricature of him, of course, it would be a prominent feature.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
Find a way to put it in the logo. Great. Well,
Yeah,
it's lovely to see you tonight, Karen. And
thank you.
we've got stuff coming up, don't we? Um,
We
for
do.
example, well, uh, I don't know your Chicago dates yet, by the way. I'm forgetting, are they before or after? Well, are they first half of the month or second?
Chicago dates
For
for
Chicago conference?
for the Chicago conference. It's in the third weekend in October.
Third weekend in October.
Yeah, 17th, 18th, and 19th, I think,
Okay.
to be precise. If
Okay.
you guys haven't checked that out, by the way, Richard Bandler, for good or for bad, he's a draw, and some people say he's abhorrent. But Richard Bandler is not only the keynote speaker; he's going to do a full day workshop. So, if you've had any desires to learn from the NLP, one of the two NLP masters himself, he'll be here.
You said he's either a draw or abhorrent, which is an interesting thing, by the way, because some abhorrent things really are a draw. I would, I would drive out of town for a train wreck, right?
Well, then come on down.
But
Take the
sadly,
train down up to Chicago.
but sadly, and of course, we're going to confuse our listeners with our chronology here for a minute. But the reason I was asking about what those dates were is I'm looking at the things that I have on my calendar, and I wanted to put them in sequence. And beginning October 15th through the 19th, so apparently overlapping with that
Right.
event, is the Certified Master Trainer training for IACT and IMDHA, and yours truly, of course, will be well here in front of this very computer. you know,
Well,
so
that explains why you won't be at Mid-America this year, then.
that does explain it. Yes, exactly. So now I have no more splaining to do.
I guess you don't.
But there's that. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and it's before that. It's why I said, "Oh my goodness, what's the sequence?" Is the Galaxy of the Stars, and some of you may
Now
know
that's in September, though, not October, right?
that is in September.
Yeah.
Exactly, that is September 13th and 14th. So the second or maybe third. Maybe is that the third weekend? I need to look at a calendar to actually even know that. But the 13th and 14th. And right now, by the way, it's only $109. And after September 1st, the rate goes up to 139. So this is a real deal. And the reason I want to just press it a little bit here is that and I don't really mean to like be advertising or or any of that, other than telling you as fellow hypnotists, here's something you don't want to miss and something that's that's worthwhile doing. So this thing comes up twice a year. If any of you don't know about it, we do it in February and September typically. And what it is a 2 day event, and in that 2 days we have four presenters. Whereas when you go off to a conference, typically you've got a whole bunch of people doing an hour and an hour and an hour and an hour. Here we've got four great people, each with the ability to give you 3.5 hours, like really a half day workshop in something that will be useful to you. and I just love it. It's the greatest thing. They used to do it live. They used to do it in Detroit when IAC and IMDHA and all that stuff. And IMDHA used to be headquartered up in that area, and that was where their conference had been. So they were doing that for quite a while, and I remember one day mentioning to Linda Otto, I think in Chicago, as a matter of fact, that that I was really interested in more of the things that we were doing online because I was becoming the virtual hypnotist at the time, and I was really fascinated with that. And I said, you know what, I'd really like to see is I'd like to see an online conference that's just like 2 days long, and particularly I hadn't thought ahead about doing them again and again. I thought just one time, a one-off deal, and I wanted it to be about smoking, weight loss, um,
Stress reduction, I'll bet.
stress reduction, and shoot, I can't remember there was a time. Oh, well, yeah. So smoking, weight loss. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Pain management. There you go. Pain management. And we thought because for a hypnotist to have in their toolbox some good skills with regard to those for particular areas would really give them somewhere particularly newer people, would give them somewhere to start and to start going forward. So so Linda said, well, hey, why don't we make that the Galaxy of the Stars, because we had stopped doing it live, and I was like, presto. So we've been up to it a bunch of years, and for anybody who doesn't know, and again, forgive me for going on about it, but I'm just crazy about this thing because it was something that I was in love with doing in the first place. And what we do is we get a flash drive, right? You're all familiar with this. So anybody who signs up for this thing, whether you even attend it online, if you can't make it, sign up for it, and you will get the whole video, complete video and audio, and all of the handouts and the stuff that the presenters have provided, and almost as good as being there. The only not as good, of course, is you can't ask questions, and interact in the same way. But
Please tell us who the stars are this year in September.
yeah, let me just make a quick little adjustment
You didn't want me to.
to
I know
my
a couple
computer
off the top of
screen.
my head.
Well, no, I've actually had it right here, but it was sort of buried on my computer screen, and I didn't want to, skip something or tell you the wrong stuff. So yeah, in fact, these are four folks. I mean, I'm really thrilled that these are folks that I know, and they're great. Saturday. So the theme of the whole conference of the weekend, Galaxy of the Stars, of course, but the theme of this particular one is constellations of change. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to just explore a variety of different configurations, if you will, of how people approach the work of change. So we get William Wood, lovely guy, NLP trainer who I just really appreciate. His topic is constellations of the heart and mind. He's creating a course to interchange. And I know he's going to be talking about things like submodalities and the structure of our of how we represent experience to ourselves, but also about belief change and a number of fascinating things like that, and how they can become useful in the work that we do. Really, really great. You don't want to miss him. The next one is Supercharged Sessions with Subconscious Secrets. That's a good alliteration there. I like that. From our friend Sheila Zach. Some of you will remember she was on the chapter a couple of months ago, a few months ago, and she's going to be talking about the dynamics of the CAPAS model. And by the way, the CAPAS model, for those of you who don't know, from HMI, Hypnosis Motivation Institute, the CAPAS model talks about people in physical and emotional suggestibility types, and they have a particular way of looking at that and how to develop suggestions in the work that you do. They also have physical and emotional sexuality, and it's kind of a really interesting thing. And there's some handwriting work that goes along with it that'll enable you to kind of do some interesting interpretations. But then you can use that information to work with your client and to elicit what needs to be elicited therapeutically more successfully. So she's excited about it, and I'm excited about anybody who's excited about what it is, that they really do in this field. And because what I know is where enthusiasm is, oh my gosh, I'm about to say this. The word enthusiasm, everybody, the linguist in me wants you to know, means to be filled with God. The theou in the middle of enthusiasm is theos, is God. So if you're enthusiastic about something, it means, well, you got the spirit in you. And those are the people that make a difference in the world, the people that move us in the work that we do. That's who we want here. So we've got that. We've got the Linda Bennett coming up next Sunday morning. Many of you know Linda Bennett. If you've been to the conferences and things, you probably know her. She's been around for quite a while. She runs the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts in Phoenix with Sherry Gilbert. Some of you know Sherry. This one is called How to Become a Modern Day Hypno MacGyver. I liked it as soon as she offered this as a title. I thought, oh, I'm ready for that because it's the Swiss Army knife of working with clients. She's really going to talk about how you can discover how to improvise with the tools that you've already got, and some new ones, and how to create elegant and spontaneous solutions in your client sessions. And I'm just really looking forward to that. And again, I love Linda. If you haven't had an opportunity yet, she's one of those people that I really like to just sit back and listen to because there's some really wonderful stuff under there. And then finally, the last presenter is none other than Lori Hammond. Some of you know Lori if you've been online and stuff because she's facilitated over 400 different hypnosis group sessions rather, and she's celebrated for her ability to deliver lasting change through accessible, enjoyable techniques. And her trainings are also known for being experiential, so you can imagine that you're going to get engaged if you spend some time in this workshop with Lori. Lori is just a delight, and it's called the HAT Protocol, and it's a playful path to solving the problems beneath the problem. And it really is this lovely protocol. She says, in fact, I'm just reading this, so pardon me for doing that. But she says, clients often think that their issue is anxiety, weight, or procrastination, but the real challenge may be how they see themselves. In this fun and transformative workshop, learn the HAT protocol, a lighthearted identity shifting technique that helps uncover and resolve core issues, and you experience the process yourself and leave fully equipped to use it with your clients. So there you go. Four great presenters with some really cool stuff that you will be able to use in your practice. So pardon me for that shameless commercial, but we hope you'll come to it because I think you'll find it really worthwhile. And like I said, you get the recording, and you'll get to keep it forever. Uh, Somehow or another, when I held that up, I felt just a little bit like the Home Shopping Network. So, so I apologize if it comes off that way, but I'm excited about this, and I really want y'all to be there because I think it's going to be a great one. So there is that. And now, Karen, I understand that you have got a wonderful program coming up of your
I
own.
do. And it's my turn now to do a shameless plug for just
All
a
right.
moment. Yes, on August 23rd, coming up, not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, I'll do a 4-hour workshop on script writing, magically hypnotic script writing. Now, if you know me well, you know that I am the scriptless hypnosis gal. I am really a mover and a shaker about don't use scripts because it takes your attention away from your client. But when I train, my students do get scripts to begin with. Scripts to show how the flow works, scripts to show how to put things together, how to grab this idea and how to grab that idea. And in this 4 hours, we're going to really do the nitty gritty, going from creating guided visualization, using metaphor, rolling that over, and you'll have templates to actually plug things in. So we will also go through magic words and language patterns. So you'll get the template for plugging in suggestions so that you can use that for freestyle hypnosis. So we're going to go from guided visualization to freestyle hypnosis, things that you can use for groups, things that you can use for recording. So if you're not doing hypnosis recordings to sell on your website, this will help you do that and increase the income. Maybe you'll want to do recordings for your clients to give them some things to repeat or to do over again. So you'll get templates on how to create those scripts. And Michael gave me this line, and I'm now going to use it. I prepared for you a script tease. Um, because we're going to be talking about scripts. And I want to show you how easy it is to prepare a script that you can use for groups or your clients or for recordings or for whatever. Also, how you can do it on the fly. I actually did write this. I do most of my stuff on the fly, but I just thought it in my head and actually wrote it down so that I would have it in front of me and could use it again. This is a template for using any old idea, just any old idea that you have, and rolling that over into some magic. So I thought a demo would be great. Everybody want to do something very quick? Think about the safest place you can think of. And I'm going to actually treat you to this script. And if you want it later, I'll send it to you, send you the script too, just so you can have that as a template if you want it. But this is the kind of thing we'll be doing in the workshop. So think about the safest place you can imagine right now. And we're going to use that in a moment. Once upon a time, there was a game show on television, a game show called Let's Make a Deal. And on Let's Make a Deal, there were different prizes that people could win. There were things on a table and things in boxes and things on behind curtains, and you got to choose. Now, the downside is sometimes you could get zonked. Sometimes you could choose inappropriately and not get the good gift. That was that game. That was Let's Make a Deal. Let's make a deal right now to play a mind game. And in our mind game, everybody's a winner. Is that okay with you? So if you'd like to go along and play this mind game, you're invited to play along now. And in whatever way works for you, in your mind, go now to that safe place you can think of. Just take yourself there. That's where we'll play the game. So go there now. There, in your safe place, imagine a showcase. Maybe it's a stage. Maybe it's a special place. There's several options there in your showcase. There's a table with an envelope on it. Next to it is a box. And then there's a curtain with something hidden behind it. Realize here in this safe place, those gifts have all shown up just for you, to offer you, well, whatever you're looking for. So as you go through those gifts now, you'll find wisdom in each. Perhaps it's a symbol, maybe it's a token, maybe it's a guide. Go ahead now, look behind the curtain. And there in the privacy of your own mind, in your safe place, behold what's in store for you there behind that curtain. Now find yourself receiving the gift that's offered to you. Whatever you need is right there. That's your gift. Maybe it's a sign, maybe it's a token, or maybe it's wisdom. Receive that gift now. And when you're ready, move over to the box on the table. Open that gift. That gift has been left there just for you. Take what's inside that box. That's a gift just for you. And remember, there's that envelope. Oh, what's inside? I'm so curious. What could be stuffed inside that envelope? Maybe a final piece of wisdom. Maybe it's the culmination of this journey in your mind. As you play the game, Make of this wisdom what you will. Settle into it and enjoy it in this safe place of your creation, the safe place of giving and loving and receiving. Take as much time as you wish here and realize that you can return to this safe place of love and life and wisdom whenever you decide to play this version of your own mind game. And when you're ready today, bring back all of those gifts that you received. They're yours to keep. Bring them back with you. And when you're ready, return back into the room. Wide awake and feeling great, maybe even ready to share a bit of that wisdom that you collected along the journey. Did anybody pick up anything along the journey? Get any piece of wisdom or a guide or a gift?
If I may, um, that it was profound, Karen. You just blew my mind because I got a crown which represented sovereignty. The word was attached to it, which has a particular meaning to me, and it just really is about being well in charge of your own experience. So there was that, and then the box. I opened the box, and it was a white dove that flew out of the box. So this nice peace thing, and then the envelope, and this just really kind of cracked me up at the same time because I was, half conscious and half looking at why that, but it was my birth certificate. I thought, well, that's pretty cool, isn't it? So, so I don't know exactly what to make of it, other than they came from somewhere really sort of deep and cool.
And I don't know that we need to make anything of it. The point of the whole exercise is you can create magic and hypnosis out of almost anything. What I was pointing out to you here is a silly game show came to mind because I thought, okay, what can I offer that has options? And the first flicker of thought that came to me was that stupid Let's Make a Deal game show. And I can remember Carol Merrill what's behind Carol Merrill's curtain and what's on Jay's tray. And I thought, okay, well, that had losers. We can't have that. But it had some options, and I've only got 5 minutes. So, how can I turn that into something? Pretend that your client is talking to you about a game show and they bring it up. Man, you grab that idea and you turn it into a script for them. What I was using was vagaries because my clients do their own work in their own mind. I don't have to give them suggestions. I prefer not to. So I just give them some ideas and let them make meaning out of it because I know that our brain is a meaning making machine. It may not make the meaning that you make, but it's going to make the meaning that's important to the owner of the mind who's running the game. So throw out some vagaries, and the template there is come up with 3 ideas. So the induction was when I said, think about the safest place you can think of. You thought about it. I didn't have to send you out on a beach or put you in bed under the covers or whatever. You came up with your own. I just said, think about it, and we're going to use that in a moment. All of that is included in the script because that's all part of the hypnosis, right? Think of something. No resistance there because I didn't suggest that you go to a very safe place in your own mind. I just said, think of something. Everybody can think of something, and everybody grabbed a thought. And then we moved on. We're going to use that in a minute. And then I said, once upon a time, which is the 4-word induction to the instantly cross the critical faculty. Because once upon a time, it's story time. All I have to do is sit here and my conscious mind doesn't, logic and reason is not necessary here. I'll just use my imagination. I told you the story about let's make a deal for the setup. And then I said, let's do the mind game. And remember that safe place you were thinking about? Go there now. That's your full induction. That's the setup to everything. And then I said, you've got these 3 things. It's offering you what you need the most today. And I walked you through it. I had some nested loops included in there because I set up an idea, left kind of a cliffhanger, and then we came back and explained it all to you. As we unraveled the whole thing, it was all explained and unraveled. A cliffhanger is what the soap operas do to keep you tuning back in tomorrow, or the shows. So they're great techniques for you to use that are used in real life. Everybody knows how to use them, and it makes it simple for you to just be in touch with your client. Now, that was a script I wrote in 5 minutes, coming up with just some ideas and throwing it into the template that I created. And if I had to do some group work, or if somebody at a party said to me, "Can you hypnotize me now?" Well, now you know how to write a script for that and do it right then and there. So you don't have to say, "Oh, God, no, you have to make an appointment. This is special. This is something else." Give it to them because that's what they expect. Give them something right then and there to build the belief, and then you can go on and do change work. That's what my workshop's going to be all about. And that's just a script tease. There will be a whole lot more. So I'm going to use that until then, Michael. I guarantee you. And so it's August 23rd. It's 4 hours on Saturday. It's going to be on Zoom, and there will be replays if you can't make it live. So if you're interested in it, you can go to karenhand.com, and right there on the home page, you'll see a place to click on Magically Hypnotic Script Writing. And I'll see you on the 23rd if you want to be there. But now, Michael, is there anything else you want to say before I get to our main event?
I can't think of a thing. I am just as anxious as I can be about this. So I'm so glad that you have procured our speaker for this evening, and I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce her.
One of the reasons I go to hypnosis conferences is to learn, to keep the skills sharp, to see what new things I can pick up here and there and elsewhere. In fact, I picked up an idea from Adam Cox at the Hypnothoughts Live conference that I'll be sharing, excuse me, in the workshop that I'll be doing. He's a great podcaster and scriptwriter as well. I'll be sharing some of those ideas. But I go around and look and see what's new and what's out there and what can I learn and what can I do. And oh my God, neurodiversity really caught my attention, and I just couldn't wait to see Nicole Weber. And I had got to make a major admission here. Nicole sent me her whole bio, which I promised to look for in just a moment. But I was so excited about tonight that I forgot to bring it up on my iPad where it's sitting right here. What I do want to tell you is she's absolutely brilliant, and she's really knowledgeable in neurodiversity. And that's what she opened up the talk in at Hypnothoughts and said, "Who identifies," and if I'm stealing your opener, I'm sorry, Nicole, "who identifies as being neurodiverse?" I sat there, I'm not even sure what we're talking about, so I'm not doing anything. By the end of it, I'm going, "I'm in, I'm in, I'm in." Okay. And she convinced me that I think we are all neurodiverse. Enjoy it. Own it. And Nicole, I'm going to look up your bio here in just a moment and give you all the accolades that you deserve. Trust me, she's brilliant, and she's talking to us about neurodiversity and how to deal with it. And when you get neurodiverse clients, how to recognize it. Nicole, can I turn it over to you and grab your bio and butt in a minute and tell them how wonderful you are? But by then they'll already know because you'll have already said 3 or 4 words and convinced. Nicole Weber, please.
Oh, thank you. First of all, thanks for having me. I'm really honored to be here. And it's been an evening I was looking forward to. And I totally get the maybe not 100% preparedness for things sometimes. Because I showed up at 8:30, totally unaware that you had sent in the email that that was just the official start. And of course I wanted to show up earlier, but I did not because it wasn't in my brain that it started earlier. Anyway, I'm Nicole. I'm here from Texas, in the DFW area. You might hear an accent. It's because I'm German, and so I have a German accent. I talk about neurodivergence or neurodiversity because I feel that it's a term that has become more and more popular, but very often it's focused on one or two specific things, as I would like to talk about the broader subject of neurodiversity or neurodivergence, and I use both terms. and interchangeably, really, even though the people who coined them probably didn't mean to do it that way. But that is, well, what I'm doing anyway. So I talk about the term neurodivergence because I'm not neurodivergent myself. And I would like to tell you a little bit about how different neurotypes can play into each other and how maybe to distinguish between different neurotypes. Um, Today, we want to focus more on working with neurodivergent clients instead of, oh my goodness, I found out I'm neurodivergent, what now? But if you are interested in that, we can definitely talk about it too. And I need some water in between.
So while you're sipping that water, I got her bio. She's just brilliant. Um, Founder of Performability LLC and Equihypnose, a certified hypnotist, certified hypnosis instructor, executive and performance coach with over a decade of experience helping clients overcome fear, self-doubt, and burnout. Before relocating to the US, she was a licensed psychotherapist in Germany, where she ran a successful hypnotherapy and trauma therapy practice. She holds a diploma degree equivalent to a master's in social science, psychology, sociology, politics. I mean, this goes on forever. Being twice exceptional 2E herself, she knows the nonlinear path of business building and the importance of creating systems that honor your nervous system, your curiosity, and your joy. And Nicole, I didn't read even half of it because she's just got so many accolades. But before we do delve more into it, would you define neurodivergent, what you're talking about when you say that?
Absolutely. I'd love to. Well, so most people, when they think about the term neurodivergent, their brain goes automatically to autism spectrum disorder. Some people might think about ADHD as well. So typically we think about disorders, neuropsychological disorders very often. It can be dyslexia, dysprasia, I have no idea how to pronounce it in English. I'm thinking the German term at the moment, dyscalculia. So it's about math. But also what it does mean in reality is when we have a look at the general population, that most people have a brain that is not neurodivergent. But if we talk about neurodiversity, then we can say each and every brain is individual and each and every brain is unique, as are our fingerprints. So I have a different brain than you, and that is absolutely fine. And so these disorders become part of the brilliance of nature, giving each and every one of us a unique set of traits of personality, intelligence, whatnot. However, if we look back into, okay, what does neurodivergent mean, the term, we think about being different than the growth of the population. And how can this difference be or manifest in? It can definitely, the biggest part is our brain is just wired in a different way, that we crave different things, that we are other than. And I feel that being gifted, for instance, is also part of being neurodivergent. If we define giftedness, it's about your cognitive abilities, which is tested by an IQ test. And if we look at the general population and we look at the normal curve, how intelligence shows up, most people will fall somewhere around an IQ of 100. And there is a standard deviation to that. And if you take twice the standard deviation of 15, you land at 130. And so typically, a gifted person is someone who has an IQ of 130 plus. On the other end of the spectrum, when you take the two standard deviations from 100, you land at 70. And you would have a person that is not cognitively gifted, but someone where we would say they are cognitively disabled. And so when tonight we talk about neurodivergence, we talk about clients that can have different types of traits and things they might show up with. And in that talk Karen spoke about that I gave at HypnoThoughts, I spoke a lot about my own experience being twice exceptional. And maybe I should just, I don't want to bore you, but on the other hand, if you don't know what the term means, I think it would make sense if I explained what it means. So when we think about giftedness and just think about all of those are people who have cognitive abilities, who have a high IQ, that is just only a very small portion of the picture. And there comes many more and other things with it. But anyway, most people, when they hear gifted, they think, oh, that is something that is really awesome. It's being really smart. It's being quick. It's being successful. And it doesn't really mean that. But most people assume it's something outstanding and awesome. And who wouldn't want to have a gifted kid, right? So that is, one could say, one part exceptional, as in different from other people with normal intelligence. And so that is one part of the 2E. And the other is, it means twice exceptional, that giftedness is paired with a disability. It could either be autism, ADHD, both of them, dyslexia, or whatnot. And I am gifted, autistic, and have also ADHD. I don't want to say I have it. My brain is that way, so I am that. And for instance, my not showing up at 8:15 is due to that, because I just overread it. It didn't stick in my brain. Anyway, I don't know how you roll. I feel if you have questions in between, I'd be absolutely fine. If I get interrupted, I typically can go back to my train of thought. Sometimes I might need some help, but I would be absolutely fine with that. Just wanted to put that out there.
Well, let me throw out there, what are we looking for as hypnotists, taking somebody who says, I want more confidence, or I want to quit smoking? What are we looking for? What's going to tip us off if we need to pay some attention to this?
So, I mean, the easiest would be if a person came in who just told you that they have diagnoses of being gifted or being ADHD or
Oh, let me
autistic.
stop you in horror. Let me stop you. I'm sorry, Nicole, because there are so many people in this country who've been told you can't work with that population. Oh my God, absolutely. You've got to turn that over to a psychiatrist. You cannot touch it. What do we do then? I've got a diagnosed illness. I've got ADHD. What do we do?
Well, first of all, they probably did not show up because they wanted you to treat their ADHD. They show up with other things. Like very often it is, let's go back just a little bit. So when we say neurodivergence, neurodivergent neurotypes like ASD, giftedness, ADHD, blah, 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 is other than your typical neighbor, as in your brain just functions in a different way. And I would say many hypnotists probably are neurodivergent. It's our brain may have been what led us into this profession. So I feel that many hypnotists are neurodivergent, whether they know it or not. But so something different. And what I mean when I say something different is also if you are different in any way, you recognize that at a very early age, typically. So it could be that if you are neurodivergent, that you were bullied in kindergarten or in school or whatnot, that you always had the feeling of, I'm never good enough, I never fit in, no matter what I'm doing, it just does not work for me, even though it's working for everyone else. Or stuff like, I don't understand why this is hard for anyone because it's so easy for me. Or all these things are so easy for me. Why is this so hard when it's so easy for everyone else? And I feel that when you have made the experience of, okay, something is different in you, you just don't fit in 100%, that in itself can be traumatic. And that is also difficult sometimes to distinguish. Is the person showing up in our practice? Is it just a trauma response, everything they're showing up with, or are they neurodivergent, more prone to being traumatized in their life and having a neurodivergency that leads to that feeling of otherness? So very often when that is not recognized in kids, adults, what can that lead to? It can lead to, first of all, being really anxious about many different things. Let's say someone has autism and they need structure. They might hate surprises. I say, for instance, if you want to torture me, send me on a surprise trip and give me woolen socks. Because that will absolutely be horrific to me. So anyway, I would need structure. I would need to know what to expect. If I don't get that, it makes me really anxious. It throws my whole system into total chaos and overwhelm. So let's say a person doesn't know that that is what they are or what their brain needs, and they crave that structure, but no one is really giving it to them. They might seem as if they have like general anxiety, that they don't make friends easily, or they might make friends, with certain people they can have a good time with, but they are horrible in groups because then they get all awkward and think the whole time, how does my face look at the moment? Does my voice sound so squeaky at the moment? How much eye contact is really enough? Was that too much or not? And so it could easily be misdiagnosed as general anxiety, depression, PTSD, bipolar, borderline, OCD, especially when we think about autism. And when we say, for instance, ADHD, the brain very often goes to a person who cannot sit still, who has so many thoughts in their brain and so many different ideas, but not following through. with each and every one of them. And so what people might show up with could be just, okay, I feel like I'm so stuck. I've been trying all these things and nothing is ever really working for me. Or they might show up with one or another type of fear. I would say very often it's something that seems small. Like, for instance, many of my clients, the most people I work with are equestrians and they want to get over their riding fear. And most of those are neurodivergent. And they might know or they might not, but they show up because they want to have something different in their life. They want to be more confident when riding, or they want to be more confident in giving talks, or they want to fit in more at work, or why not? Or they say they've been trying so many things. Nothing is ever working. They are so overwhelmed. They are so tired. They have fatigue. They feel burnt out. But everything that doctors have been telling them isn't working for them. They've been in burnout for so long, and whatever they do, they don't get out. And it helps that they know at this point in time that they are neurodivergent because there is, I want to say, neurodivergent burnout, which differs a little from your burnout you might think about with other people.
Nicole, I'm seeing a thread here that you're talking about run through every client who comes through my office.
Mm,
Because all of my clients are looking for a change.
yes, absolutely. All of them are. Um, but so the question is, why does this person have this problem? What is really behind that problem? And is it something because they experienced something, or has it always been that way? And is their brain just wired in a different way so that they need specific things? Let's say you have a client come in and it shows up different in women compared to men, even though, I mean, there's a full range and a big spectrum. Um, Women tend to mask a lot. We learn as little girls that fitting in is very important. So we try everything to fit in. And we will try the same in a hypnosis practice. So if you have a client who is just the perfect client, who's the picture perfect client who you really like, who comes in, is smiling a whole lot, is uh, trying to keep still and sit and do everything you tell them to do, but they aren't getting as fast to where they want to go, where you might think, I wonder why this isn't working as I thought it would. That might be a clue for you. Or as someone who nestles and fidgets a lot, um, someone where you realize the level of eye contact seems somehow weird. It doesn't mean that they can't hold eye contact, just the level or the focus of the eye contact feels slightly off. It could be too intense. It could be that it feels as if they are staring deep into your soul. Um, well, they might, let's say, a woman, I don't have long hair, but if I had long hair, I would probably twirl my hair a whole lot or play with my necklace or play with my rings because I would need something to let this energy out that I need. So to, yeah, absolutely do whatnot to calm my nervous system. And so if you have someone who's tapping the whole time with their fingers on the table or playing around with something or they are twitching the whole time, that might be a very big clue because it means that person at the moment is stimming, meaning they are doing something in order to regulate their nervous system. We all stim to some degree. For instance, if we get really nervous, one might stim, but if you are neurodivergent, you will stim a whole lot more, or you have the urge to stim a lot. You might try not to show it. Um, so, and that could also be something people might show up with stims they want to get rid of where they are not aware that those are stims. For instance, nail biting, scratching. Um, it could be behavior that is self-harmful in a way. It doesn't always have to be, but let's say you get your, I don't know, 21-year-old woman who is just over having short and, in her words, ugly fingernails all the time. And she's just so embarrassed because people look at her hands and she doesn't feel very confident about them. It could be that nail biting as a stim and that she has been doing it to help her nervous system regulate better. So whenever someone is showing up with something like that, whether it's nail biting or they scratch their uh, head open or cut, well, even cutting yourself doesn't always have to be borderline, what many people associate with it. And why does a person with borderline do it? It's also a stim. It's helpful in that moment. It's an outlet. And so whenever we see a person coming in that wants to get rid of behavior, it would be a good idea if we looked at that behavior and asked ourselves, what's the purpose of this behavior? And is it kind of necessary for the person to show that behavior? Does it serve a purpose? And if it does, we can shape the behavior and bring it into a different direction. But if it's a stim, then we would not be well advised to just take it away and not replace it with something else. If that makes sense.
And isn't that true all the way around? I mean, I I
Yeah.
don't mean to quibble, but it seems that every client that comes in, whether they present with a neurodiversity or just your common everyday change, they're trying to change something, and the whole point is find the trigger, find what the positive intent of that behavior is, and find a different behavior that will replace it without doing whatever it is they don't want to do anymore. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In a way, totally
Just wanting
true.
to make sure, I'm just wanting to make sure, Nicole, that I'm not confusing this with there are some people that you don't want to change those behaviors, or if they're using them for a positive intent, we don't have any right to change them. I just want to make sure that that's not what I'm hearing. Or
Well, I would say let's stick with the person with the nail biting.
okay, okay, okay.
So very often, one would assume, okay, that's she wants to get rid of the nail biting, so we get rid of it. And we could, depending on what you're trained in, maybe do regression work and try to find an event that triggered that type of behavior, and then work on the underlying emotions, and so that the behavior isn't necessary anymore. Where if that is a stim, that will not work. So it will continue to be there. If it is fear, and the fear is based just on the brain is different, and it just gives me anxiety not knowing what's going to happen, that fear will not go away no matter what we're doing around it. So if there is an instance of, okay, it's just not leading us to where we thought we could go, then we might have to reflect and look back. So I would say whether, let's say, a neurotypical person has been nail biting, started after an incident, maybe they don't know, maybe they felt it's been their whole life, but we find something in their, let's say, their childhood, one incident where they felt all alone and they got so anxious and they started biting their nails and it felt good somehow, so they continued doing that. We could get rid of that without giving them a replacement outlet. But if it's a stim, we won't be able to just get rid of it. That person will look for something else to replace that behavior. And in my experience, we don't always need replacements. I mean, we want to shape behavior, just as you said, Karen, but for instance, if someone wants to get over smoking cigarettes, we don't need to replace smoking cigarettes with, let's say, eating gummy bears. Whereas if it's a stim, we want to replace it with another stim that is safer, so that they can still calm their nervous system, because stimming has such a big purpose, but not be self-harmful, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the universe doesn't like a void. And yeah, if you leave
Exactly.
it there, they're going to find something to fill it at some point.
Yeah, and sometimes it could be filled with, I mean, I gave up smoking. It was not a stim for me, and it was very easy, and I did not even think about it anymore. But I also didn't need to fill it with something else. It was just, easy.
So now I'm hearing you say, but if it is a stem, or if it comes from that, then it has to be replaced by something else. It could be a breathing exercise. It could be walking around the block. It could be anything, but some kind of structured filling. Is that?
Yeah. No.
Okay. All right. So
Um,
help me. Get me there. Get me there. That's what you're here.
No, Brie, so a stim is something to help our nervous system get to a place of calm. And it very often has to do with being overwhelmed by all of our senses. And typically, stims have something to do with our body and with motion. It could be that I squeeze something all the time, that I tap my fingers. When you think autism, sometimes people think of flapping the hands or rocking back and forth or shifting from one foot to the next foot. It could mean twirling your hair. It could mean scratching your skin open. So it always revolves around yourself, your body, it's about moving. It's a repetitive motion. It could be that you have a pen and play with it the whole time, that you rock back and forth in your chair just a little bit, or that you nod your head the whole time. So, and that cannot be replaced by, walking per se is a repetitive motion. So yeah, walking around the block, but a breathing exercise would not have the same purpose, if that
And I
makes
know
sense.
Karen Ross has her hand up, but I've got to ask, what is it? What do we replace it with?
Stimming is essential, and I would urge anyone is to encourage the person to stim, only use a safe form of stimming. So, for instance, instead of biting all the fingernails off, what would be another repetitive motion they could be doing that feels calming to their nervous system? And that could be many different things. I mean, there's different fidget toys. You just have to find the right one for you. Or if you like playing with your ring or with your necklace instead of biting your nails, and that has the same purpose, or rocking back and forth or whatnot, absolutely, you could use those.
I misspoke. I wouldn't give them another activity. I would ask them what other activity might
Yeah.
be equally as calming. So yes, I misspoke. Hey, Karen Ross.
Yes, just have a question regarding some of these conditions like ADHD. You mentioned dyscalculia, and I only know about that one because I encountered somebody recently who claimed to have been diagnosed with that. When do we reach a point where we claim or suggest that we can help the person not have that condition or not display the symptoms of that condition? Like ADHD, I think many believe that kids are labeled with ADHD and they may not have a condition, but they end up claiming that label, and it ends up impacting their lives in so many ways. And I think there are some of these conditions that fall in that category. So I'd like to know where you come down on at what point, or do we even suggest that we can help with the condition itself?
Well, well, I would say, for instance, that is, if I said, okay, I'm gifted, but that comes with certain things that I don't like that much. Can you make me dumber, please? How would you do that?
Well, you wouldn't. I guess that's why I qualified some of these conditions. And for instance, this dyscalculia. Was talking with another group of hypnotists about that condition. And it was mentioned that it gives the person the excuse. She said, so I tend to be late because I have a problem with math. I have a problem with timing. And so when I discuss this with others, they suggest, well, that just gives her a wonderful excuse for being late for meetings. Or
Well, that's always the easy way out. I mean, let's say people want to better themselves. They want to become more the person they could be. I mean, everything could be an excuse. We could say, "Oh, I'm just a smoker. That's why I stink. It's not my fault. It's just because I'm a smoker, so everything will stink of smoke. I cannot do anything about it. Sorry." Of course, we will always have people that say their diagnosis is an excuse And I also say, of course, there's autistic people out there who are assholes and who use that diagnosis as an excuse for their behavior. And of course, we could all use our excuses, but most of the time, the clients that come in, they don't just want to excuse whatever the behavior is that they're showing. They want to learn ways in order to better themselves in a way. So let's say when you say time, for instance, ADHD, yes, time blindness is an absolute thing. It's like you have no idea how long this will really need. You think you have 15 minutes, it should be absolutely easy to fit in taking a shower, getting yourself dressed, brushing your teeth, putting your makeup on if you're wearing makeup, combing your hair, taking the dog out for a little walk, and getting all your things, and it should be easy. But then you realize 15 minutes aren't not gonna cut it. And of course, you could say whenever you have an appointment, oh, I'm just late because I have ADHD. It's just how it is. I cannot do a thing about it. No, that's not true. Those people, and I'm one of them, we can learn how to manage time better, but that we might need other tools to help us realize how much time is really passing, how much time has really passed. And so I would say, in general, we can see that more and more people get diagnosed with ADHD, autism, ADHD and autism, and it's not because more people have it. It's just that more and more people realize, oh my goodness, this is me. And so I feel most of those probably are just looking to find ways to understand themselves better. This is why it's always been difficult. Now I know what to look for in order to make it more easy for me next time. At least, for instance, that is the reality of many people I've spoke with, and it's also my reality. I don't use my diagnoses as excuses. I don't say, "Oh, sorry, I will never be on time." I definitely can be on time. I just need to put much more energy in to be on time, but I can be on time. I just had to learn how to be on time. And for instance, I will never, I've tried, I will never learn to wear woolen socks and be calm with them and find them, I don't know, comforting or something. To me, they are itchy, horrible, overwhelming, and I could not have them on my skin for even a second. It would drive me absolutely nuts. And I feel that's fine. If we were in a society where it was expected of us to be wearing woolen outfits on a daily basis, then I might want to change that. But we aren't. So that is fine. I say it's awesome that we're talking so much about ADHD, about autism, about other types of neurodivergencies, because it makes it so much easier for people who don't have the ability or the resources to get diagnosed, for them to be able to see, oh, this is maybe also me, and maybe I should be looking into that. And oh, there's different coaching tools for learning to cope better with this or that. And I think that's really awesome. Also, very often we think in just it's one diagnosis, but the reality is the DSM-5 got changed. I don't know how many years ago. It used to be that you were either ADHD or you were autistic. It was like you can't have both. It's either that or that. And especially in girls or women, it's like, oh, but you had no problems in school, so you can't have ADHD. It doesn't, who cares if your desk is a mess? You should see my desk. I'm very happy and glad that you can see it because use just some tiny space for my laptop. And everything else is filled with stuff.
That's the beauty, by the way, of Zoom, because we can block
Yeah,
out what we don't want seen. We can hide all of the rest of that stuff. By the way, let me
absolutely.
point out, Nicole's got a couple of great offerings for us. Top 10 things that hypnotists need to know about this, and a mini course for entrepreneurs. If you'll go to the chat, I put the links in there, but I really messed up because I'm not perfect. What can I tell you? The first link won't work on either one of them, but the second link on
Mhm.
both of them will work perfectly, which happens when you copy and paste rather than try to type it in while listening. Just my tip for the night. Copy and paste. Okay, Nicole, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Interrupt
no,
you.
no worries.
But go
Copy and
get our
paste is
stuff because it's good.
awesome. Copy and paste is really awesome. It helps so much. It makes a lot of things much easier. Anyway, I feel there's uh, beauty there that these, and I mean, what are diagnoses anyway? We're just trying to put labels on different things. Some people need labels for themselves. It helps them. Other people might not need a label. But I feel it's very important to know that these labels can exist together and that could show more problems in the way that ADHD traits and autism traits can be very much on the other end of the spectrum and hide them. And for instance, I can say it took me decades until I was diagnosed as gifted because my ADHD hid my intelligence. And also, I've been masking my intelligence a lot. I learned that in school. And my autistic traits hide my ADHD traits, and my ADHD traits hide my autistic traits. And very often, people, when they learn that I'm either one of those, they tell me, "Oh, but you don't look autistic, or you don't look that intelligent, really." Um, yeah, that kind of cracks me up
I
too.
really want to
Because I
know
mean,
what they look like. Or what the
yeah,
belief
I don't
system of that
know.
person is that they look like.
I mean, and the beautiful thing is, if we look at the Big Bang Theory, I think we have so many different neurodivergent neurotypes in those characters. This is just awesome, awesome. But many people, when they think gifted men, they might think about Sheldon Cooper, uh, who also seems to be autistic, uh, is very structured, has OCD, has to have rituals in place, like the three times knocking and stuff like that. But all the other characters are neurodivergent too, and I think it's interesting if you to look into each and every one of those and see, oh, what type of brain might that person have? Like, for instance, Kelly, who is like the persona of being ADHD, but I bet that she is also gifted.
Well, it's very interesting. You told a story that brought a tear to my eye, Nicole, at your
Oh my
talk
goodness.
about being misunderstood when you were in grade school and you were a reader, you read faster than everybody else,
Yeah.
and you got through a book faster. Do you mind telling that story? Because it really is the kinds of things we might hear from our clients that help us tip us off to things.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely don't mind. So, and I think that really shows the hiding or the masking,
Asking, yeah.
because masking is that it's hiding traits. Um, and I think I was in second grade, and we were supposed to read a text, just each and every one by ourselves. And I was a bookworm, so I loved reading. It's all I ever did. My friends thought I was so boring because I wouldn't play. I just looked into did they have books in their family and could I read when I was over at my friend. Anyway, so I read a lot. And I read that text and then I was done and I looked around. Because I felt everyone should be done by now since I'm finished. And my teacher said, Nicole, what are you doing? And I said, I'm done. And so she said, no, you aren't. And I said, but I am. And then she said, you cannot be done. Continue reading the text. So what did I do? I stared on the paper until I realized everyone else there was this aura of more energy in class, people shuffling, stuff like that. So I felt, okay, at this point in time, it's safe to look up and also shuffle and move. And that's what I've continued to do. And later on in life, it took a long time to really make that connection. I was always surprised when I was much faster than anyone else. But
Wasn't that
I
an
did
interesting
it.
imprint? Wasn't that an interesting imprint?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. And if we discover that and help our clients gain understanding about that, oh my gosh, can they make the leaps in their own mind and corrections, I believe, in their own mind. Is that true? Did you see
Absolutely.
anything about that? And Russell has his hand up. Before we go off on that, Nicole, Russell, I'm going to make sure that we get to your question. Or Jacob, whichever has the hand up. I can't tell
Sorry, I'm a
whose
razor.
hand it is.
Hi, Nicole. Thank you so much for speaking tonight. I had an expansion on I think a question that Karen was rotating around. If you have a client who comes in who wants to bring change around a stim that they're using, um, in conversation with the client, can you find the replacement, or are there places that you go to of, behaviors or stims that you can offer that are meaningful replacements for, like, how does that, as opposed to a general client that is doing a behavior, you know that they want to change, that's not a stim, is not is meaningful for them in a different way. How do you work with a client who you recognize that the behavior is a stim? How do you find the behavior replacement?
Um, Sometimes, well, it might take some time, and I would definitely say, first of all, it's very necessary to encourage them to stim at all, um, because they might realize after just sitting with it for a couple of days that there are other things that they also do that has the same that brings them the same level of calmness, or it just eases their anxiety to a level that they that is bearable to them. And very often that is also something that I talk to clients to who come with fear. For instance, I had a client and she was very, very nervous about going into meetings with specific people. And we we realized it was part of her being autistic, and that she needed to stim beforehand in order to deal with the overwhelming situation of not only having other people in that room, but the light, the texture of the chair that was driving her nuts, which she didn't realize. She, in her mind, it was just, she was anxious in certain types of meetings, and that was what she wanted to be. She just wanted it gone. But we realized when we spoke that actually there was so much more going on. It was not just the meeting, it was all these different parts that made her whole nervous system go into overdrive. And that if she started stimming before and allowed herself to stim during the meeting, and finding in that moment a stim that she could do that would not have every other person run out of the room, that would help her so much that she wasn't anxious about those meetings anymore, because she knew she had found an outlet in something in herself and in her body that helped her go through with it. Let's say you have the nail biting. Yeah, so it has something to do with it's a repetitive motion. It's also painful. If we are biting, typically most people who bite, they bite till they draw blood. So that pain might serve a purpose. So for someone who bites their nails, it could be that if they had, for instance, a scrunchie or one of those things you use to put your hair up, and you have it on your wrist and you just snap it, or like a rubber band or something like that. And if that very, it is still painful. Less so. It's a very sharp sensation. But that, for instance, could replace nail biting. It just has to be the certain level of intensity and purpose. So for Karen wants to say something. I
Give
just
them
thought,
give them the same thing they were getting out of the other thing.
yeah,
And so if the pain was doing something for them, you can't tell them just stop hurting yourself. You got to find a different way, like snapping, that doesn't hurt you
yeah,
in the same way, but gives you that same rush,
yeah,
that same dopamine or whatever it is.
yeah.
Rush.
Yeah, absolutely. And it might be difficult to get there. When we cannot go into a meeting with a client like this and say, oh, we don't need a lot of information from that client. With stuff like that, then you just have to really chunk down, okay, what exactly is this? What really does it help you with? Because it solves something. It has a purpose. And I mean, most people would just say, yeah, I've been doing it, I just want to get rid of it. And they are not aware of why they are doing it, or that the painful part is important to them, because society typically does not allow us to look at stuff that way.
But boy, the magic words, what is that doing for you?
Yes,
You say, well, it's not doing anything for me. I just want it to go away. And you get to say, yeah, but if it wasn't doing anything for you at all, you'd have let it go a long time ago. So let's
right.
really dive in there and find out, what is it doing for you? Then you don't get to tell them. They have to discover it, because you don't know the answer. They do.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
After all, they're gifted. That was okay.
They are gifted with a very unique brain, and that is also something that I have to blurt out. Is I feel like neurodivergencies exist because they also serve a purpose. I don't want to just think in limiting terms of disabilities. Of course, when it's paired for, let's say, we have an autistic kid who is mute, they might still have all these wonderful possibilities of expressing themselves, but it's just not recognized. Or let's say we have an autistic person and that person is cognitively disabled. Is something entirely different than with an artist with an high IQ.
It's
Anyway,
definitely something that we just have to keep an eye on. And unfortunately, Nicole, we are very dedicated to stopping on time. And
yeah,
we've come right up to 9 o'clock. I am so sorry that I didn't give you warning about that. I just want to say, if you want some of Nicole's stuff, I'm guessing that if they go to shop.performabilityllc.com, they will find a lot of different things there.
yeah.
The M-hypnotist is the 10 things hypnotists should know, and the ND-friendly-biz-tips is also the mini course. I said those out loud, so if you're on the recording and you don't get to see the chat, there it is. Go back and listen to that again and type it in and go to those because they're very valuable pieces of information. Nicole, how can someone reach you if they have questions for you, if they want to know more? What's an easy way for them?
Absolutely. Easiest would probably be via email, Nicole@performabilityllc.com. That would be absolutely easiest. And I would like to encourage you to get the 10 things hypnotists should know about neurodivergent clients. Because I feel I'm very enthusiastic about this topic, and so I could speak for days about it, and it's very difficult for me to just take a part or many parts and just talk about them in quick order if I don't have like a whole presentation I want to share.
Well, then you won't be surprised if I call you often just to talk.
Yes, I would love that.
All right.
You can
Thank you so
also,
much.
yes.
I am so delighted to know you, and thank you for sharing all of this information with us. Now we do something for you. Everybody, open your mics that you've kept closed this whole time, and give Nicole the great send-off and appreciation. Thank you for being with us, Nicole. It's been great, as I knew it
Thank
would.
you so much for
Thank
having
you,
me.
Nicole.
Awesome. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Nicole.
Great.
Thanks, Nicole.
It was
We'll be in
great.
touch. This will be on the recording tomorrow if you want to go back and watch it.